All right, so we have from the Sumi paintings and the Sumi art that I've been exposed to for many years. I always notice that there's a little seal. Usually it's in red for the Chinese and Japanese seals, but we can pick whatever color we want. But what I like, usually you have to buy a stone or a piece of alabaster, and either someone else could carve it or you could carve it, but it's really not easy to do. So I have this really fun little eraser carving uh, signature that we can do. So what you'll need, and we'll go over the materials. Basically, if you just have an eraser like this, Mars, Statler, any kind of an eraser that has a nice smooth feel to it. This Speedball makes something called Speedy Carve. That's also good. Statler makes this Master Carve. It says it cuts like butter. It's really thick. There's just different kinds of erasers. You can even use the back of a pencil if you want, but that would make a really tiny seal or tiny signature. This one I did out of a eraser from the dollar store, and it was really not easy to carve, and it didn't really make the sharpest impression. So what makes the sharpest impressions I have found are these this material from Japan. And I got this off Amazon. It's a company called Seed. That's the brand. And they have little blocks here. And it says here, Japanese rubber, well, I don't know what it says, Japanese rubber something. But this is an A7 size, so it's a little one. You can get probably 20 signatures out of this. So this wasn't expensive. So I wanted to share with you, I had gotten that. I haven't used it yet. But these are very handy. They're the best. I think this would make the best carving, but you can also just use this in eraser, whatever you've got. So, and another thing you'll need is a pencil. You're gonna need a pencil. I'm gonna try to, I think this is big enough. All right. So you need a pencil, you need you have an Xacto knife, you need that. I like these Speedball. These are they're like a set that comes with a hole in the handle that holds all the little extra blades. The one I put in for today is the finest V-Gouge that I can get. So I've got this little V-Gouge, and it's a tiny little V-Gouge so that you can get nice fine lines. I bought this, and this is a little different. I've never used it before. It's called a Flex Cut. It's got a slightly bigger V-Gouge, but not that much bigger than this one. So I'm going to try it. It's a little more expensive, but I thought I would try it. Even though the handle is kind of long, it's going to be kind of hard to get used to the blade being long. But the reason I got this was that it came with a sharpening tool. But with the erasers, you don't really worry about it being dull, with your eraser material, because it doesn't really dull it that much. I also have a bone folder. You can have something that you want to burnish down your image to the eraser, and I'll show you that in a minute. I have a piece of tracing paper that I'm going to use, just some tissue paper or tracing paper to make to transfer your image onto your eraser. And I also just keep Post-it notes, and I'll explain why. I've just got a little thing of white Post-it notes. And really important is to protect your table, your working surface. So I use this little carving. It's a little tiny thing. It's only about, I got this in Japan. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. It looks like it's about 6 by 8 or so. And I kind of have the screen up close so you can see everything, where I have have everything kind of focused in. Another thing that's good to have, of course, are stamp pads. So I have this nice stamp pad. It's carnation red. That's how I get my nice red sort of Japanese inspired signatures, or black, or you can get like a brown, whatever your favorite colors are. But I think having a black and a red is just kind of a nice, basic thing. But stamp pads are good to have, of course, for this. We'll need, and most of you have some stamps, I hope, or stamp pads. If not, the red and the black are perfect. So what we have is I've kind of cut them down, but I'm going to show you how I cut these. So these have been cut down already from a larger block, these little babies here. And I'm going to cut one down just so you can see the whole process. So you have to decide you're going to have to maybe take some time to write your name, your initials down, kind of get an idea of the sizes you want, and you can make a variety of sizes depending on the size of artwork you have. So, if you want a little tiny one that's for little small 5x7s, you want to keep it small. If you want to go bigger, you just make it bigger. Like this one, I did all three of my initials, and I'll show you that in a minute. But it's kind of a funny stylized thing, which I will show you right now, actually, so you can see it. I'm just going to stamp it. And really, when you're doing this, I'll probably jump all over the place because that's kind of what I'm doing. But I mean, ooh, that was that's a lot of ink in that thing. Wow. So I'm just going to just put some ink on it, and I'm going to stamp it on my, I've got a Post-it note here, and I'm stamping on the edge so I can use the adhesive, and I'll explain why. There you go. I'm hoping that'll make a clear impression. Pretty clear. This ink is a little different than I really probably like a different ink for this. I'm going to try using, it's better to use pigmented inks. Whatever you've got, a pigmented ink will be better because it just look better, a nice dark impression. I'm going to do it again on this and show you the difference. Oh yeah, so it's a lot better. It's a lot darker. So just to show you that, I'm going to go ahead and grab it, just kind of dab off this real quick. So that is that signature. And what I usually do, okay, so you notice, of course, I'm kind of jumping around, but I'll save this for later, and I'll show you why I'm going to keep this stamp, this image here. It's on my Post-it, and I'm just going to leave it right there for now, and then I'll explain why I did that on the Post-it note. So, but to start with, you just want to decide what size you want. I've got like these little they're maybe less than about a little over a ½ inch square. You could make a round one, whatever kind you want, but I've got one that's about an inch and one that's under an inch. Oh, there they are. You can see them there. Okay, so these are sized pretty much for these little ones here. But if I want to do a bigger one, I'm going to just have to kind of trace this stamp. I'll just do it right here. Maybe right there so you can see. I'm just going to kind of mark the edges a little bit of my eraser. So now I'm going to decide, I'm going to make this as my container where I'm going to do my signature. And you can do, and if you want to do, if you're doing rounded stuff, it's going to be a little harder, but do whatever fits for you. So I'm just going to try something just for fun. I'm going to do like kind of a stylized, something different that I've never done before. And like that. I just think it'd be fun. So I'm going to there's my signature right there. And I'm just going to do it really, it's my first and middle initial, which is what I use to sign my work. But it's a little bit stylized. So I'm going to just kind of wanted it to look kind of embellished. I might even make a little curve here just to really do it up. Like that. And now I've got the image, and what I need to do now is what I should do. So now I'm going to take the tracing paper, and I need to trace this same thing with the pencil, using your pencil. Now that you've designed it, I mean, you could play with the design. So I'm just going to go, and I can adjust anything I want at this point, but this will be the final. Here, I'm just going to go like that. So now I've got this really interesting kind of, it doesn't even look like a K, come to think of it. But that's okay. I'm just going to, maybe I might decide to redo this because I don't really think that looks like a K. So I'm going to redo this. I'm going to cut, I need that, but that's not, since that's the piece that, I'm going to just cut that off because, there we go, like that. And I'm going to use this to trace. So basically, you're going to make a design on your tracing paper. That's your final design. So I'm going to just go ahead and scooch this over so you can see, and I'll trace my design. And this one, I think I'm going to leave off that little loop that I had. I'm just going to go like this. And I'm going to go like this. It's just all a matter. There we go. That's the one I want. Okay, so now I've got my design, and my final design. I'm gonna even make a little loop. I want to show you how to do curves. That's why I'm going to do that. So there it is. That's going to just happen. Okay, so I'm going to put it on. Now the thing about when you do this on an eraser, it needs to be backwards. So I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to place it onto my eraser. And I need to keep, I could see that some of my design went off, but that's all right. It was a little big for this, so that's okay. I'm just going to wing it and show you what I'll do. Okay, so now what I have is I have it on there, and I need to transfer it onto the eraser, and your graphite will transfer if you just burnish it down. So I'm just going to use this is a bone folder, but if you have just the back of a spoon or something, but you want to just kind of hold your tracing paper on there. Keep it still. Don't let it shift. Otherwise, it will shift. The image will shift, and it won't be a clear impression. And I'm just hoping, and I'm going to lift it to just make sure I'm transferring it, and I am. So there it is. I've got my image, and whatever you've got, and it's just gonna. I'm just gonna look at this now as a design, not as my signature, because it's backwards anyway. I can't even see it. So what you need to do is you need to grab something like a cutting surface, something like that. Or you can use, even though I've got this little pink one, I've got a black one. Or maybe I'll use that because it's easier to rotate. So these are just nice little self-healing cutting mats. Oh, before I get started on that, because I kind of jumped ahead, is I want to show you if you use an Xacto knife to cut down your size. So let's say this is the size I want. I can actually take this as a using the grid as a guide, and I'm going to just line it up the sides, and then I'm going to use this as a guide just to eyeball it a little bit, and I may just redo another thing because I think that doesn't fit in there anyway. So this is going to be an inch. This is going to be a large one for larger paintings or larger watercolors. And I'm just going to take my blade and make sure that your Xacto knife is totally secure in the this little part here, because over the years I've learned that those things can pop out and it can cause damage to your hand. So I'm just going to gently go in, and I'm pressing down, but I'm not pressing all the way through. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm just going to go gently. I'm not pushing too hard, but I'm just kind of going through the layers. And I just think that's safer to do it that way. And then you can just start to press down. You want to get through all those layers. I'm going very slow, going through until I hit to the bottom. See, it's lined up at the bottom. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to bring it all the way through. Now, I'm going to rotate my block, and I'm going to hold it carefully down, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just take, I can see that I need to follow that line. I noticed I didn't follow through all the way through on the other one, so that's okay. I'm just going to hang on to, just gently cut through the layers of the, depending on how thick your material is or how dense it is. You're just going to have to just kind of be careful cutting these. And if you wanted to cut a circle, you just trace a circle and cut the circle. I'm going to go a little bit more out here. I could see that I didn't follow all the way through. Now, what I could do is I could just gently pull this down, and I've got my edge just fine. So it's going to kind of tear a little bit, but I'm not worried about it. And I could take a little, you can always trim your edges and get your block the way you want it. So there it is. This will be for a larger piece. And I'm going to go ahead and use this again. Now that it's properly fitting, I think I should get another impression from this K. Oops, that's not the one. Where are you? Where did it go? All right, somewhere in there. Where did it go? All right, I can do another one. It's not a problem. That's funny. Oh, there it is. Okay, so what I can do, if I wanted to do this again, I'm going to just put some graphite over it again, just a little. You can thicken the lines a little bit, maybe have the downstrokes be thicker, and kind of make it look better anyway, because I think it was just too plain. But you don't have to do this kind of style, calligraphy style. Just a simple signature. I'll show you that on the smaller one. Here, okay, so now I've got that. Now I'm just gonna look at this thing and put it right on and do the same thing that I had done before. Just going to lay it up there and burnish this down. And I won't cut this one right away. I'm going to cut this one second. I just wanted to get you, show you how to cut. And then I already have the little one. I want to show you that one too. So there it is. I've got it fairly, it's not the best, but I'll be able to see it. So I can also trim it down at this point to the size, more to the size of my image. Oops. So just when you're trimming, just kind of get down and kind of drop it down to this. You can see it just cuts through really easily. Most erasers are going to cut just like butter, like they say. So I'm going to cut to the side. I think I'm going to cut just a little bit off of this, not much, just a little right there. So it is easier to trim it down. So make a couple of these. Make a big one and a small one if you have the material. So there, I've got that piece ready. And then this one, I'm just going to do a little simple, like super simple. I'm just going to keep it real small, and I'm going to go just a really simple initial. Real nothing difficult. I'm just going to do it. And of course I could have done it. I got to put it on the tracing paper, which I forgot to do. And I'm just going to do the same thing, just a little. You can even, because it always looks good no matter what. I think they all look good. This is a much simpler one, and I'm going to just do the same thing, turn it over. I'm going to put it onto the eraser block. And you want to have some room around the outside of your image. You don't want to have it go all the way to the edge, because then you'll cut your eraser block off. So you just want to make sure that you keep your cuts inside the borders of that edge. You don't want to go all the way in, which I see my E did do that, but I'm not going to cut it. I won't cut all that. In fact, I'll even stop it right there. So I just burnished it off. Got the image. You see my little K is a little weird. That's okay. So now I want my V-Gouge. This is my little cut here. If you just have an Xacto knife, it's possible to do, but not easy. Let me show you. With an Xacto knife, you won't get the curved lines that very easy, but you can get straight lines. And I usually like to use a little piece of block just to play before I get started. So I'm going to use this right now. And I'm going to show you if you want to if you're cutting a straight line like something like this, where you have your initials straight, you can take, in fact, I'll just do it right. I want to demonstrate it for you because I do think it's important. Here's a straight one right here. In fact, I'll just do it on this one. So what I need to do is take that and I need to transfer it. Let's see, where did I go? There it goes. Need to get my tracing paper, and this is a font that I just printed out. And so what I've got here, I'm gonna just kind of play with it a little bit. There, like that. So this is more block lettering. You can use any style. There, like that. So I've got a block letter, simple, and I'm going to put it on this. I'm going to just transfer it. I have to see which side will work. I don't know. There, maybe. Well, okay. So this one is a little bit too small, so I'm going to put it on a bigger block. Here, I'll just put it on this, and then I'll cut around it. That would be better. Probably be better to do anyway, because then you have room to burnish down your image without, yeah, here we go, like that. So now I've got that, and I'll cut that down to a small one. So just kind of cut around it, but I want room around the image, around the signature. I'm just going to cut it down here, maybe cuts to about right there, and maybe about to there. So it's just like a 1/16 of an inch outside. Now this one will be more of a rectangle shape. It's not going to be, it'll be kind of a horizontal rectangle shape. But it could, for whatever artwork I'm doing, it's going to work for different things. Okay, so now when you're working with straight lines, you can take an Xacto and you can cut your edges. And you would do this now, important when you're working with a really small thing and a very sharp blade, B, I always like to hold my blade fairly still and move my hand around. This one, I try, and especially if I'm working with a sharp blade like an Xacto, I just have to be very careful, not to drag it towards a body part. So what I'm going to do now with this is taking my Xacto and I'm going to go along the edge of the line at an angle, like a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to cut. I'm not trying to cut through, I'm just cutting the edge. So I think if you can see that, and I'm going in, it's about a 1/16 of an inch or more, and I'm going to turn my eraser, and I'm going to just go along the straight edges of my design. I'm just going to kind of follow the contour of the drawing. I'm just going to put it inside, and at 45, just kind of follow it along. And I really did something I wasn't going to do. I was no, actually, this is what I want. I'm cutting out the negative. So what's happening is the inside of that K is going to be white, and the border is going to be black. But if I wanted to do the opposite, I would have to dig out take away the edge or the places that you want to print. You want to leave places you want black are the places that are going to be erased. So you just have to kind of plan it a little bit. But these seals are better with a border around them, I think. So I'm just going to go around my little K shape, and I'm going to be very careful to keep my fingers out of the way in any case, just to be sure. And now once I've gotten around all the places, see if I've gotten around. I should be able to lift it. Now if I can't, I'm going to cut in right in the center, just in the center, and I'm going to lift out one section right there. It's coming out right there. See that little section out. I'm going to move it out of the way, and then I can cut. Should be able to lift this other section out here. So just got to cut in the middle in the centers and get those little pieces out. And I'll do the same thing. I'm going to cut that in the middle. I'm just slicing right in the middle of my letter on both sides, and then I should be able to lift these little parts out. So that's how you get your straight, how you can do this with only an X-Acto knife. And then I'll do the E, so I'll start up here. What I like about doing this is gets you used to eraser carving without a lot of detail. I mean, you're just doing your initials. So I've got my little digging in here, rotating my eraser. And it's better to be more conservative because you can always go back in, like let's say you test your print and oops, what happened there? My eye just went blurry. It was my eye, it wasn't the eraser. That's weird. It's like all of a sudden my eyes just kind of went blurry. Happens at this age. So I'm going to get all of my little borders or edges, contour of the drawing cut. And once I've done that, now I can just cut into the letter and lift. Now there's a nice thing, if you have little bits stuck, these little kneaded erasers work really well for picking up little pieces of eraser. And it helps to get, the little bits out if you can't get them out. So I'm going to cut like right in here, just to try to get those little bits out. Now I think I can lift those bits out by pulling it. I got some out. And then just keep working it. And then we'll do a test print. So little bits out. Now this is only with the Xacto knife. The next one we're going to do is with our little tool, our V-Gouge, which will make it it'll be a lot easier with the V-Gouge. So I'm going to do a little test print. I'm going to get all my little bits out, and I'm going to take this and I'll check it out and see how it works. It looks pretty good, I think. I think it's going to look okay. I'm going to just go ahead and just press it down. Oh, it's cute. Except I have it upside down. There it is. I like it. It's simple. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on I'll tell you why I save these Post-it notes, because you have a sticky side on the Post-it note. I'm going to, I'll just do this in black. I'm going to put it on the sticky side of the sticky edge. I'm going to print it right here, and I'm going to get rid of the excess. I'll just move it out of the way, get that ink off there. And now what I've got is I know what it is now, because if you looked at this, you go, well, I don't know what that is. So what I'm going to do is cut this out, and I'm going to just stick it on the back of I'm going to stick it right here. So now what I've just done is I've just created a sticker for my stamp, and now I know where, how to orient it, and there it is. So that is that one. So that's using the Xacto knife. So now we're going to move on to the V-Gouge, which is really, these are nice. So that I've got it done. I got many seals done. These are, just throw it in my collection box. And that'd be fun to put it on a card, or on the back of a greeting card or something. I think that'd be fun. So now I'm going to take the one that I did. This, you can take this one or this one, doesn't matter. I'm going to just play with that one. And I'm going to use my V-Gouge. So I'm going to take this like this. Now with this, the V-Gouge is gonna, if you try it in some scrap pieces, just go in and push it in and see how deep it goes, kind of play, just kind of move your stamp around, see if you can make turns. This is a good skill to do before you get started with creating your design. So just kind of play, work with it a little bit on a piece of scrap, small piece of material that you're using. I'm going to try doing the same thing with this one I've never used. I'm going to see if I can do it. I don't know if I can. It's kind of big, but I'm going to try. Let's see how it works, and it works beautifully. I think I like this flex cut. Oh wow, it is. So anyway, and I'm not moving my hand on my right hand that's holding the tool. I'm moving my left hand only. So what that's doing is it's giving me much more control, and I'm not endangering myself. So I'm going to try doing it with this. Since I've never done it, and having a little thing to rotate, or really you're probably okay just doing it on the table, because you're not planning to cut through. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start somewhere in my design, and I'm going to start right in the end of this E, but I want to leave a little bit of an edge. I'm going to kind of go in, and I'm going to press down, and now I'm going to just rotate. I'm not holding. I'm not going to change anything about this. I'm just rotating my eraser, and I'm going to let that do the work. I'm not moving my hand. I'm trying not to anyway. And I'm going to make a tight turn. I'm going to see if I can do that. And I can, as long as I keep the pressure the same. And I'm just gonna, there we go. I got it. I got that one bit out. I like that. I may just leave it like that. I see that I have a place I stuck out, but I'll go ahead and do that, because I'll just do it. Here we go. I'm gonna go all the way out to the edge, take the little bit off. And this one, I think I'll go ahead and bring it all the way out to the edge. So you just go back in the groove if you want to widen the line or extend it. And then just go around your design that you drew. If you have a simple design or a curved one. Oh, I love this flex tool a lot. Wow. It's called a flex cut. It's woodworkers really love these. And I thought I'd give it I thought I would give it a chance, because I'm planning to do some serious lino cutting. I bought some linoleum blocks, and I just want to play some more with some cutting. And be careful. I'm not, like I said, I'm not pushing my fingers towards the tool, and I kind of try to keep them out of the way, just in case something slips. I want them out of the way. These are very sharp tools, and you don't want to give yourself a gouge on your hand. So I'm going to do a test print on this just to see what it looks like. It may not be what I'm looking for, but here we go. I'm just going to do it anyway. Where's my black? There we go. So I'm just going to take, and I love all these little bits that get everywhere, these little tiny bits that get everywhere. So I'm going to test it and see if I like it. And if I don't, I can always, fix it. So I want to widen I want to make this a dark, heavier, and I want to heavy this out. So I kind of see what I need to do. But I mean, really shouldn't be, you know, the cutting, this one is a little more complex, but I'll show you how quick it will be on the small one. But really, you can just play with it. Put design, you can put little notches and little designs in it. So here, so now that I see where I need to cut away, now with my black, it shows easier where I'm going to need to cut away and trim. So now I'm just going to take, I see I want to take some of this off. So I'm going to take my V-Gouge and go a little right next to it, a little bit to the side of it. So I've just created a deeper or I'm cutting away that black because that black is where my ink will be. And then I'm going to take this part and that's a downstroke. I want to make sure I'm doing the downstrokes. Okay, so kind of like a calligraphy thing. I'm going to go wider here and here. And just let that be like that. And then same with this one. Just white, just a little bit farther out from that. Now, this may or may not be my favorite one, but hey, it's just a little bit of eraser material, so it doesn't really matter. And if I want to make designs around it, I'm going to just extend that out too. I could make little fun little designs. I could do little marks, but I think I'll just leave it for now and see what it looks like. I'm going to do a little test print and see how it looks. If I like it, I'll keep it. Now that one is kind of cool. I'm going to just go ahead and do another one. It's a little clearer. It's all right. I mean, it's okay. It's, you know, I'm just going to leave that one alone. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the one that the little one, which is the one I would probably use the most. I'm going to use this little tool. This is my little speedball tool. I'm kind of used to using that. So now I'm just going to start at where the K starts. I'm going to go at my little angle, and I'm going to just kind of move. Well, this time I'm going to move my thing through, but just stopping right at the top of that design. And then I'm just going to cut right along the line. Very, very simple. And I think this one needs a little bit of a curve, so I'm going to rotate it a little bit like that. And then here I'll start at the curve of the E and just rotate, turn my eraser, and then pick that little bit out and then start again and make a turn. So it got kind of now it's very thin. This is a very thin cut, so I'm going to probably have to cut some more, cut a little thicker, but it probably would be good for me to test it first. So I want to get that little bit out. Little bits need to come out. Nope, it's not even out. So if you're not cutting deep enough, it just isn't going to do it. So there we go. I've got a little deeper. It's better to err on the shallow side, though, to start. Okay. Yeah, I think we got it. So now I'm going to test it, get my little bits out. And then if it looks good, great. If not, I can always adjust. So I'm going to see that was this side. I don't know what, there we go. It's hard. That's why I love indexing them, because I can't tell which is up and down. Okay, so that one's all right. I mean, I'm okay with it. I think it's fine. I don't want to be critical. But if I wanted to be more perfectionist or have a more stronger beginning of the letter, I think I could take this K, this side right here, and just give it a little more, just another pass on this, just to widen that letter a little bit. I'm hoping that works. I'm going to do the same, just kind of, we'll see how that looks. If it, it's just a little bit of eraser, so you can keep making them. That's why I've made like lots of them. See what I did? I made it wider, but I have to close that little space in. So I'm going to do that, or it might have a little bit of something in there. I'm going to pull that out. Let me go ahead and just get that part right out. Hopefully I can get it out. Oh. I'm going to grab some of this eraser. It really helps to, this gummy stuff just helps to get those little parts out. Now I'm going to test it again. Now I like that one. I think that one turned out nice. Now this one I'm going to really like better with a red stamp, with a red stamp pad. So So I'm going to take my, let's see where I thought I had to take a Post-it note. I think I ruined the other one. And I'm going to stamp it right on the edge, just like the top edge. Got it. I love the red. I think that just looks so good. And I'll get rid of that. Take the Post-it note, cut it out, and stick it on the stamp so that I'll know which way to orient it when I do my stamp it on my artwork. So if that is the instruction. If you have, we can of course. I don't think there's. Oh, so let me just give you a little tip on the like that. This is a little bit. Oh, I see my little thing is my index, or I have a narrow part here. You can see it's really narrow, much more narrow than the actual stamp itself. So what I have to do is I'm going to have to trim that down just a little bit because it's just in. So what I have to do is I'm just going to trim it off the edge so it doesn't, like that. You can't see it all, but anyway, there it is. At least I know which direction to put it. So there you go. My favorite ink, I tried them all, is this one. I like this one, the India Black ink, and it's made by Superior. But also Ranger makes a great ink called Archival ink. So, and they come in a range of colors. The Carnation Red is the one I'm using for the Chinese, Japanese types seal. Some of the reds are too pink, so I found this Carnation Red to be kind of a nice, kind of a warmer red. So when you are placing your signature in a painting, now in the Japanese and the Chinese artworks, the traditional artworks, they use that seal as part of the composition. So, instead of down here where we sign our work down at the bottom, right, left or right, they place it as part of the composition. So I'm kind of doing that now with my art. I see something and I could put this seal. That's why I make several types. I can put it, depending on the size and the shape of your, if it's a landscape or a portrait, you can decide how you want to place it. Like this would be pretty large, but I would have put something like this long one in maybe this one. But you can just play around with your seals and decide. You can place it on your page before you press it down, and just kind of get an idea. Okay, where do I want this, and how will it improve my composition?